Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and let's go through this model making assignment. I do expect you to read this carefully so that you make sure you cover all your bases. I just wanted to do a real quick verbal walkthrough so that you know what I'm looking for. All right, so first thing, I have some resources here for you, a playlist for some architectural model making tips and tricks. I don't expect you to watch them all, kind of pick and choose a few, or just get on YouTube and search for some model making tips, and that will help you. I also have a video about how to use this scale measurement converter I put together for the in-person class, and here's a link to the spreadsheet that lets you put in some measurements from your floor plan and tell me how big your model's going to be, and then you can convert things like your centimeter measurements or your scale measurement feet to your actual scale model measurements. So the big thing is we've been doing this in class, so they've really appreciated the break from the computers, and I suspect you guys are in that same boat, so that's why we're going to do some model making. What I want you to do is choose a historic Sears floor plan back from the early 1900s. So this is something that Sears used to do. You used to be able to get a catalog and order a kit for a house, and it would come as a big stack of wood already cut to length, and you would just have to put it all together. You know, some assembly required. Actually, all the assembly required. And some of these homes are still in use today. So I'd like you to choose one. I would suggest finding a single floor, two or more bedroom floor plan. That way it's easier to build. Double story, you'll have to figure out how to show that. If you do that, then I would suggest make two stories individually on two different bases. But let me know if you have questions about showing a two-story plan. So you can also image search Sears floor home plans. I do expect you to gather some details about when it was produced and what the model was, and some of the details about how much it cost and that sort of thing. For your tools and materials, use what you have on hand. I don't expect you to go to the store and buy a whole lot of stuff unless you just want to, but you should have things around your house that you can do this with. So you could do all of this pretty much with some cardstock and some chipboard and a pair of scissors and some school glue. That's all you need, and a ruler. You need a ruler. But if you have a box cutter, craft knife, scissors, rulers, straight edges, cutting mats, and that sort of thing, anything like that, that will help you assemble a model. That's going to be good. Other things might be like tweezers and that sort of thing. So wire cutters, whatever. So find some basic tools. If you have something to cut with and some material and some straight edges and a ruler, you're probably good to go. As far as the materials, look first for like recycled things. You can use school glue. Hot glue you can use, but it looks kind of messy, so be really careful. I expect your models not to show glue when you're done, and that's real hard to do with hot glue because it comes out in like little blobs. So you will probably spend a lot of time cleaning up if you use hot glue, even though it's fast. Some things like use things like cardboard and chipboard, cardstock if you have it, construction paper if you have it. Sometimes you can use things like toothpicks or craft sticks to do some of the details or show like where narrow supports are and that sort of thing. But just use stuff you have on hand. I don't expect you to go buy materials unless you just want to. When you're using recycled materials, as you assemble it, try to make it where printed sides are not visible, or you cover them with like cardstock or construction paper or some sort of like printed texture or something like that. It's all about scale. The reason I'm giving you the scale converter is so that you can make a scale model. Your model has to fit on a 30 by 30 centimeter base. It's about 12 inches by 12 inches. I don't want anything larger than that. And everything you build needs to fit on that, and it needs to be to scale, and it needs to be a consistent scale throughout. So you need to make your walls 8 to 9 feet tall, and pay attention to these typical measurements for doors and windows. Let me point out the opening issues here. I expect to see a uniform sill height for all your windows. I don't really care about the sizes that they are, but I want them to be uniformly the same distance from the foundation, not like this where they're all over the place, okay? If your model includes some like floor to ceilings or large bay windows, that's okay, but most of them need to be at the same sill height, okay? For your build process, you need to at least produce a base with walls that include window openings and door openings. You can add details like frames for your doors and windows. You can add clear materials to the windows. In some of the architectural modeling videos, they suggest using sandpaper on whatever you're going to use for the windows to make it a little cloudy so it looks more like an actual window. If you want to add entourage like people and furniture and landscape, that makes it look much more realistic and helps us understand the scale. And again, keep in mind everything needs to be to scale. If you really want to, you can include a roof system, but it's not a requirement for this project. All right. So to get started, start with your base and figure out what your scale is going to be for the largest dimension of your structure and the height of your walls. If you have a printer, you can just print the floor plan out straight and glue it down onto the base and build right on top of it. Otherwise, sketch it and that will be fine. Focus on your walls and openings first. So what I would suggest is cut long strips of your wall material that are to scale for height and then cut in your windows and your walls. Windows and walls, I mean windows and doors before you glue them down. Cutting them once you glue is not practical. So cut all those out and then glue everything down. So focus on walls first. Walls on the base first. Once you get all that done, then I expect you to add details uniformly. And what I mean by that is if you put a frame on a window, do it to all the windows. If you add furniture in one room, do it to all your rooms. If you add clear material on one window, I expect to see it everywhere. So be careful about adding details. The thing is, it's real easy to get tied up in trying to make a real detailed little dining set, and you end up spending hours and hours on that one thing, and you have this high level of detail in one place. I want to see uniformity. So think about it before you start. All right. As you're working, document your build. This is going to take several days to complete, so take pictures as you go, and you should be noting things that you learn and mistakes that you make along the way. What you're going to turn in is a slide deck, so it's going to include a title slide with your name and the date in the class, an introduction slide that talks about the home you selected, some of the details about it, why you like it, and then images of the actual home if you can find it. Next slide needs to be a floor plan, your screenshot of the floor plan that you built from. You also need to include a list of tools and materials you used, what you actually used, not what you could have used. And then for each build day, I need a picture of what you accomplish at the end of each day and describe what you did, the mistakes you made, the things you learned, and so on like that. Just a little description about how that day went. Then I need several large images at the end of your slide deck to showcase your final build model when it's all done. Then a couple of reflection slides, one discussing the differences between a historic home and a modern home, and then what you learned as you completed this model. Okay? Thank you for watching, and good luck.